We're going to resume with speakers. The next speakers will be Ernestine Glover, Shalene Rodriguez, and Eric Reyes. Ernestine Glover, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
First, I would like to thank you, the board, for appearing and listening to our concerns and complaints. My name is Ernestine Glover, and I live at 1849 Cedric Avenue, which is owned and operated by the 1849 LLC, Mr. John Malovic. I've been living there since 1977, so that's about 40 years. I raised my children there. I am also the newly elected vice president of a tenants association, so I'm coming to just bring the concerns of all of the tenants, including myself. I hope that this is just not a show to listen to us talk about all our ills and concerns, and you're going to listen very carefully and take it into consideration when you're deciding on whether or not you're going to make an increase or give a rollback. I am also represented by in the 77 Assembly District by LaToya Johnner, and in the Councilmatic District by Mrs. Vanessa Gibson. I had to say that because these are two people who have been working hard in the Bronx for all of us. That's about all I want to say. I hope you're listening. Some of the complaints may be a little bit out there, but take in every concern of every single tenant here in the Bronx, because we need that from you. Thank you so very much for letting me take these few minutes to speak to you.
Thank you. Shalene Rodriguez.
Hello. So I wanted to start really quick with a scenario. You have a grandmother who lives 45 years in her apartment, say like on Woody Crest, raises 2 generations of kids, partner lives and dies in that apartment. And then you have a young man that lives in Long Island who inherits a portfolio with a line on it that lists that grandmother's address. He's never been to the Bronx, doesn't know where that, probably needs a GPS to get there. How does he have more rights and ownership to that apartment than the grandmother who raised children there, who has lived and will probably die if she's not forced out in that same apartment? So already I'm creating a scenario for you where you see there's a issue here when we're talking about looking at where someone lives as an investment. Housing is a human right, and we're speculating on where someone lives and dies. So obviously, I support rolling back the rents. This city is a tenant majority city. We run this town. So why are we at mercy to landlords? If housing is a human right, and this is a tenant city, then landlords should not have the power that they have. Correct? That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. Eric Reyes. Good evening.
Good evening. For a lot of kids from here, education is often seen as a dream of escape. Gentrification and rent increases make this dream of higher education even more unrealistic when your living costs skyrocket and suddenly your dreams are compromised because of the inability to pay for school or books or other expenses. During our fight to keep our homes, living can become next to impossible. How are we meant to focus on anything when you see our families struggling? And when we are displaced and we are sent to places with even less resources, shoved all together with even more crime, we have less access to education and you perpetuate our poverty. Moreover, you should realize that you should never be proud of having the city's youth try to escape the places where they are from. Why should we ever try to escape? I love my home, I love my community and my people. I do not want to leave. I especially do not want to be forced to leave. Don't you have a place where you can call home? What does this place mean to you? And yet our homes can be taken so quickly and cruelly from us, and that should be a crime. As a city, if you want to reduce crimes, then you must help strengthen our community. If you want to increase access to education, you must strengthen the existing community. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. The next three speakers are Elba Mena, Juan Cano, and Jose Noboa, or Noboa. Elba Mena?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity.
Good evening.
I served my city for over 25 years in the New York City Police Department. My daughter has chosen to serve her city as well as a New York City teacher. Between my pension and her entry-level salary, we won't be able to afford to live in the city that we love and that we love to serve. Between my landlord's major capital improvements, individual apartment improvements, and the Red Guideline Board decisions in the future, we may or may not be able to stay. I love my city. I served it proudly, and if I had another opportunity, I would do exactly the same thing. I speak for my tenants in my building as well. We have many retirees there who also served our city and who want to remain. So I urge you to please consider us, to remember that we give back to the city as much as you give to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mena. Juan Cano? Is Juan Cano here? No? Okay. Jose Noboa?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Jose Noboa. I'm a member of CASA. I live at 955 Walton Avenue, apartment 5A. I really don't remember exactly the name of the company who owns the building, but I know that Mr. Graceman is the owner. We have more than 32 years living in that in that building, in that apartment. And I standing here today because I am with the rollback rent. The reason why I like that is because our building is a very old building, and it has almost 97 years of being built. And the walls are cracking, you know, and they do, the landlord and the superintendent only do minor repairs, you know. They don't do deep and good repairs, you know. And now they are working better because we have CASA around, and CASA is helping us to know how to make the request for them. But we really need no minor repairs, but restoration of some of the whole apartment where I live, you know. And I think the policy of the landlord is to become richer and the tenants poorer, right? So thank you for letting me get the opportunity to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Noboa. The next speakers are Naima Bilal and Jesse Hamilton. Naima Bilal. Oh, here she comes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for having this hearing in the Bronx. Like you said, my name is Naima Bilal. I live at 1550 McCombs Road. I've been there for almost 30 years now. I've also worked for almost 50 years. I recently retired, not recently, I've been retired for 10 years now. and I'm on a fixed income. Like so many other seniors, we are on fixed income. Not only that, I'm the president of my tenants association. But before I get to that, I have been taken to court by my landlord 3 times, 3 years in a row, on false allegation, and all 3 times I won my case. By being the tenants association president, I have come in contact with some of my tenants in my building that are being cheated because they simply don't know the law. They're new tenants, and they've been being charged $60 to $200 when their lease expire. This is a criminal act because simply they don't know. So I believe that there should be a rent freeze. I'm so glad we had a 0 increase for 1 year and a 2% for 2 years. So now we're asking for a rent freeze totally because they are making money hands over heels. And tenants in the buildings that are moving in who don't know they're right, they're making a lot of money. So they should not have an increase whatsoever. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. Jesse Hamilton.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Jesse Hamilton. I'm the father of Senator Jesse Hamilton in Brooklyn. I come here today primarily to stress my personal feelings about what's happening here in the Bronx. When I first got married, I moved into the Bronx, St. Anne's and Brooks at 145th Street. I eventually wound up on 163rd Street in the Grand Concourse. I walked here from the house. I've been living there since 1970. The landlord and I have had some differences over the years, but we've managed to work some of the things out. But there has been a shift since the landlord passed away, and the son is running the business. His approach and ideas to working with the tenants is much different. We've had a tremendous turnover in the tenant population. When I first moved in, I would say 70% of the building was Jewish. As time went by, the turnover became very great. I love this community, and I'm going to stay here. Now, the landlord has been playing tricks, the kind of tricks that you see around the city, and that is the MCI, permanent rent increases. Whoever authorized permanent rent increases had to be someone who has a vested interest in seeing that the landlord gets ahead. Because permanent rent increases, as it relates to marketing, as it relates to accounting, as it relates to a business, I believe is an illegal step to be taken. I pay for the repairs, and then I have to continue paying for the repairs. That doesn't make any sense. If you went to the bank personally yourself, and you took out a loan, the bank was going to charge you interest on that loan. You pay off the loan, and the bank continues to charge you interest. That is a problem. I believe that should be taken out. My last statement is about the rent rollback. The importance of this is that we're on a team as tenants and as members of the Bronx. I think we paid our fair share of dues in terms of rent increases. This is the time, without any doubt, the landlords needs to know where you stand by providing a rent decrease, because the rent decrease indicates you're not being controlled. And in that essence, I want you to believe that the tenants here are here for the purpose, the sole purpose of surviving. We're not living here, we're surviving here in the Bronx.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speakers are John Doyle, Barbara Williams, and Rose Green Renwick Mayfield. John Doyle.
No, but I thought you said Barbara Williams. Did you?
First John and then Barbara, but
Okay, all right.
Thank you all for hosting this hearing, and thank you for your time today. I'm John Doyle. I'm a Bronx resident, tenant. Based on what I see, landlords are not suffering undue hardship. In fact, many seem to be spending large sums of money to influence the political process in their favor. Some facts: 35% of Bronx renters are paying over their resident income level, and that doesn't even price in how many of them are being priced out because they can't afford rents in this city. Homelessness is still at a record high of 59,000 New Yorkers who find themselves without any home whatsoever. The Furman Center recently did a report that says 52% of Bronx neighborhoods struggle with high or extreme poverty. Poverty has in fact stayed constant at around 30% since 2010. 30% of all Bronx households pay 50% or more of their income based on rent. People are hurting. Tenants are being priced out for many years. And again, rents have went up even in times of recessions. That this board has raised those rents. I would ask that you consider these actions in the context of today's vote and instead continue the rent freeze that Bronx tenants deserve. Please heed the warnings of those in this room and vote to freeze their rents. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Barbara Williams.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I'd like to, I have with me my neighbors, and I would like for them to stand. Please come on up. You all have something to say. I live at 940 Grand Concourse, and I've been living there since 1977. I've raised my kids there. This is Yvonne Ambrosley, and she's been living there.
1971.
Okay, and this is her daughter who's just newly moved in, and she's been living there since 2016.
She grew up here.
Recently, apartment of her own. She grew up there as a child, of course. We're here to speak about the conditions. We've had so many violations. We want to talk about first the rent increases. They have risen from, I would say, from an $800 to a $2,000 increase. Okay, the rents are so high, it's unbelievable. For a two-bedroom apartment, you're paying something like $2,100. And they have switched it, saying it's a three-bedroom when it's just a two-bedroom, according to the records. Our building has been named the worst building with violations in the Bronx. We had so many rats walking through our building that we were afraid to go in because the rats were barring the doorway. We were in the New York Times. Big rats were showing, I own this place.
The porter got bitten on his head. The porter for the building was attacked by a rat. He was bitten and he had to go to the hospital because he had a rat bite injury. That's terrible.
We have recently had, because our doors are not locked, you can't get in the building, there are no lights outside. We had one murder about 2 months ago. A girl was thrown out of the window. We've had one young lady that was molested in the elevator. Guy got on the elevator, just walked in the building, and he molested her. And I fell recently, that's why I'm limping, going onto the elevator, and the elevator did not stop level with the floor. Now, mind you, I just want to say, all these elevators were newly put in, supposedly new elevators last year. but they break every month. Something is wrong. Things are happening. Rents are going up. Repairs are being done with bubble gum and spit just to hold it together so it can look good for the inspectors. We are not living under good conditions, yet the landlord wants his rent. You're charged extra if you have a washing machine. You charge extra if you have an air conditioner. You charge extra for everything, except you don't get repairs done.
Excuse me, I know there are three of you, but we have a 2-minute time limit.
Okay.
So if you could wrap up your presentation, I'd appreciate
We're
it.
ready. We're ready. Okay. Go ahead.
Oh, you basically. Okay, I recently moved into my apartment, and though I'm grateful to have my apartment, I just moved in September. I currently have a hole in my bathroom, and when I called for a repair, what the repair guy did was stuck a white rag into the hole, as though I wasn't going to notice. I said, come on, this is absolutely ridiculous. I just moved into this apartment, okay? So it's unacceptable. I paid $2,100 rent. That's, I believe, is excessive. I work, I have a good job, but there are certain months when my one paycheck will not take care of my rent. I have 3 children, okay? Nobody is asking for a handout here, but I don't think that the rents are appropriate. For instance, this morning we woke up, there was no water. There was no sign to indicate to us, you know what, tomorrow when you wake up, you might not be able to take a shower. So these are the things, the issues that we've had with this landlord, okay? Nobody is asking for a handout here, but we need to be able to be comfortable. If we're gonna pay these rents, we need to be living in good conditions. The elevator in my mother's building, before I moved back into there, it took about, 4 or 5 months for that elevator to be repaired. That's inexcusable. Okay, we have a lot of elderly people in our building. It's a 6-story building.
Okay, so I'm going to have to interrupt you. We have a lot of other people who signed up.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
We thank you for taking the time to listen to us.
Thank you.
Because we have so many things that we really hope that you would hear, but we thank you anyway.
Rose Green, Renwick Mayfield.
Good afternoon. My name is Rose Green. I live in 2925 Grand Concourse, Fickelstein, Timberger. And we recently had renovation in the building, but it's already falling apart. If someone rang your bell, you have to go downstairs and let them in. The intercom is not working. So, and the rent is going up. I've been retired 4 years now, and you don't get raises like that for the rent, for the amount they're charging just for the renovation, and also the increase every year. It's getting to be too much. I came from the postal service, you would get raises, but I'm not getting raises like that no more, and I can't afford the high. All of a sudden you got this big increase that I don't have the money to pay for. I'm thinking about leaving, but then, for what I pay, I have a studio, and that's, for the price they're going up, it's just too much, and I'm retired, and I'm not getting raises like that. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
I have a quick question.
Excuse me, could you come back? There's a question.
Okay. So I know your landlord from charging MCIs. Have you gotten increases in rents for repairs that they've done in the building or throughout the building?
Excuse me, say that again?
Have you gotten increases in your rent because they've done major repairs in the building?
Well, they did some renovation with the kitchen and the bathrooms. I guess the elevator and the windows. Yes, it's increased already.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right, I just want to remind everyone that you have 2 minutes to speak. If you want to speak, you do need to register at the registration desk. The next 3 speakers will be Tanya Yvonne Ambersley, Shanae Frederick, and Carmen Tenorio. Tanya or Yvonne Ambersley? Oh, okay. I say, okay.
And you can come back up to take those 2 minutes if you want. We were confused.
Let me just run back and say, one thing I did want to say is, the rents are so extremely high that tenants are now renting out rooms in their apartments, and every time you turn around, there is new people moving in and out, but they have to do that in order to pay the rent. The rent is so high. One neighbor pays $2,800 a month for a 3-bedroom apartment. You're not getting any raises. We're retired. I worked for the city for 30 years. I'm a nurse. I stayed here because I love this community. In my building, I love my building, but we're not getting a fair deal here. Rents are going up, work is not being done, poorly done, and accidents are happening, robberies, murders, all sorts of craziness in our building. And thank you once again for listening. Help us, please. Reduce the rent.
Thank you. Excuse me, sir. Sir.
We are here need to start taking testimony again, and we're going to call to, just call people to speak.
We need to start taking testimony again. We have people who have signed up to speak. Shanae Frederick. Ms. Frederick, go ahead with your testimony. Go ahead. We can hear you. Please let the speaker give her testimony. Could you please take your seats? We'd like to hear the testimony of the next presenter. Please go ahead.
I hear myself talk. Okay. Okay, my time is running out, so I just wanted to say that it's clear that this is very important to a lot of people. And my question is, I live at 930 Sheridan Avenue, apartment 6M. And my building is a preferred market rent. And I just wanted to know exactly when the MCI fees are going to basically stop. If I have a payment and they telling me that, say there's a roof that had to be paid for. The roof was paid for, and you paid for it at exactly. I'm talking about MCI fees for those who wanted to listen. I appreciate all of you. I just wanted to say that the MCI fees, I understand that they were implemented as a law, but my point is, it's a fee that has to be paid by the tenants. But at what point does it stop? You're in the apartment, and then the roof is, if we had a roof that has to be paid, the roof is paid, but how do we know when that payment has been done? If I'm there for 20 years, you think 20 years is going to take to pay the apartment off when it's 1,000 people that live in this building? I just have a problem. If you're going to freeze the rent, then freeze it, and then you know they're going to keep the MCI fee because that was a law to bring the landlords in here. But you're getting rid of the people that have been here. I live in a preferred rent, which means that at any point they could raise my rent as soon as they think the market is valuable to the people that don't live here. So all I'm saying is to take that into consideration. When you see that we have MCI fees that they do not get rid of, why are you raising the rent? If I'm paying MCI fees and they tack that onto my rent, and then you're tacking 2% on, I can't afford that. You want other people to live here for gentrification, but you forget about the people that want you to help them as well. That's all I'm saying. So I know you're listening to us, but just take this into consideration and understand that we want to live here too, just like everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry. There are some seats up front if people want to sit down. Carmen Tenorio. Ms. Tenorio needs a Spanish interpreter, please.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Carmen Tenorio y vivo en el 1197 de Gran Concours. 1197. Carmen Tenorio.
My name is Carmen Tenorio and I live in 1197 on Grand Concours.
Por 20 años.
For 20 years.
Y tengo un liqueo que viene del cupo para el baño y es muy incómodo porque siempre que llueve me cae mucha agua para abajo.
And I have a leak in my bathroom coming from the roof and it's very uncomfortable because every time it rains it pours down on my house.
Ya está bien. Muchas gracias por darme la oportunidad.
That's it. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you.
Thank you. Let me just make some announcement, please. If you want to speak, you need to sign up at the registration desk. Each speaker will have 2 minutes to speak, and we ask that you respect the allotted time because we have a lot of people who want to speak this evening. The next speakers will be Paula Fields, Shantae Allen, and Terry Lacayo. Paula Fields. Hi.
Good evening. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I just want to thank you tremendously from the bottom of my heart for what you've done in the past with the rent and not having an increase in the last 2 years. I was able to actually shop for food to eat some months of the year just because I didn't have a rent increase. I am going to retire next year. I have to move out of the city because I cannot afford to live in New York City. I was born and raised in the South Bronx, and I wish you consider the fact that when I was here, no one else wanted to be here. They burned down the Bronx. Now, I live in the Hunts Point section, and you have investors that live in other parts, Long Island, Westchester, coming to invest in my district. And out of the last 15 developments that's come in my district, I'm not asking for low income. I'm not asking out for a handout. I'm asking for an apartment where I can see where the benefits of my luxury of hard labor has come. Unfortunately, I have not ever been able to do that because of a lot of different variables. One of them being the new phase in gentrification, from what I feel. I'm being priced out, okay? My family is being priced out. I just hope you take into consideration the fact that I need your assistance and being on my side and giving me another 2 years to have a zero increase. Well, actually, it was 2% for me, but it helped me tremendously, and I'm thankful. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Shantae Allen. Good evening.
Hello. So I live in 930 Sheridan, and I just want to say I have been in that neighborhood for about 14 years. I moved in when there's a one-bedroom. My one-bedroom rent was $736. I now live in a two-bedroom apartment, which will be probably when I re-sign my lease, it'll probably be about 2,000, maybe 22, and that's only because I moved from a one-bedroom to a two-bedroom. I didn't get the whole bells and whistles in a renovated apartment. I just got a regular move-in apartment. Now, I understand that the neighborhood has to change because that's what happens, it's evolution, but the MCI fees and preferential rent are killing me because, like the Shanae said, there is no end to it. It comes, we don't know when it's over. They can tack it. When I re-sign my lease, I'm getting MCI fees and arrears right now. So my rent before they gave it to me was $15 something, and now it's $17.99, and that's even before I re-sign my lease. So when I re-sign my lease, they will tack on the MCI fees, and then my rent will be, and because I have preferential rent, which is another ripoff, I don't know what at this point, I don't know what my rent is going to be when I re-sign my lease, because they can charge me anywhere upwards of $3,000. I'm a family of 4. Yes, we have a dual income, but that means nothing living in this neighborhood. There are people coming into this neighborhood, they're like, oh my God, this is cheap compared to Manhattan. Well, yes, but tell me where I need to live if I can't live in the Bronx, because I can't live in Manhattan, I can't live in Brooklyn, I can't live in Queens. No one wants to give me a loan because my credit is bad, so I don't know. Only thing I can do is rent, and at this point, I can't even rent. So I just want, the rollbacks won't affect me because I'm on preferential rent, but at least if you guys do it, it's something to say to them, okay, I won't charge her too much in her preferential rent. So that's all I'm asking is, I don't win in any situation. This is my first time doing this. I just wanted to speak my voice, even though your rollbacks don't technically affect me, but they will have an effect on when I re-sign my lease, because at least if you say there's 0% here or 2% here, I can say, well, look, the rent guy, the rent board did this, so why does my rent have to be so high? You know, that's all I'm asking. I just want a place to live with my family, convenient. They go to school in Manhattan. I don't want to move to Westchester or Yonkers because I've been here for so long, and I want to reap the benefits of the new neighborhood. That's all I'm asking.
Thank you. Terry Lacayo. Ms. Lacayo needs a Spanish interpreter, please. Terry Lacayo. Okay. Terry Lacayo, going once, going twice. Okay. The next 3 speakers will be Maria Bodrum, Eric Foreman, and Angelo Vega. So let's start with Maria Bodrum.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
Thank you for being here and hear our arguments. And thank you for what you have done last year. I live at 888 Grand Concourse.
Can you speak a little closer to the microphone, please?
I live at 888 Grand Concourse. And our landlord, he doesn't regard us. Our apartment is in the news every day. It's in court, it's in 7A, it's on rent strike. He doesn't care. He said, move out and we'll get somebody else. I am a senior. I can live on only so much. Now I have to depend on what my pension can pay. He doesn't fix the apartment leaks. I'm asthmatic. My apartment moldy, mildew. I have to repair it myself. And I'm asking you, please, look at other seniors who live in this neighborhood, who may not be as fortunate as me, less fortunate than me. And this scumbag landlord is using us. The mayor don't care. The borough president don't care. We are depending on you to listen to us. We are people. We have a life. We are not criminal. We are not terrorists. We are not asking for nothing else besides have a peaceful, quiet life in a neighborhood. I've been here living 25 years. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Eric Foreman.
Hi, my name's Eric Foreman. I'm here because I'm a teacher in the Bronx, and 1 in 5 of my students are homeless. 20% of the students I teach are homeless. So I want to do a little straw poll here. I want to know, raise your hand if you are in favor. This is a straw poll, it's a non-binding vote. Who here is in favor of raising the rent in a city where we have 80,000 homeless people? Raise your hand, be counted. I'm not seeing very many hands go up. Well, I don't really believe that, because some people on this panel are the ones who put this trash on this piece of paper. This is garbage. This is garbage and you know it. When you raise the rent in a city where people don't have enough money to pay the rent, you are guaranteeing that more people will become homeless. So I'm not going to thank you for wasting all of these people's time, these hardworking people who have better things to do on a fucking Monday night. We have better things to do than stand here and tell you the obvious. The obvious that when people don't have money to pay the rent, if you raise their rent, they will end up on the street. Are you some kind of sociopath? Like, no, seriously, like what is wrong with you? When you walk down the street and you see a homeless person, do you just not care? Or do you just not understand basic economic reality? And then my question is, why are you on this board? So, if we want to have a real debate about housing, let's start out with ending homelessness.
The next speaker is Angelo Vega.
Hi, my name is Angelo Vega.
Good evening, Mr. Vega.
Excuse me?
Good evening.
Yeah, it depends on which side you're on. That side or this side. Anyway, I want to say something. For the last 12 years and during the Bloomberg administration, the rent has gone up, and up. And the union workers' pay has been going down, down, and down. But the cost of living has been going at least 2 or 1%. I'm sure all you educated people already know that kind of stuff. So why have you been doing the opposite of what you should be doing, is rent freeze? Do you understand? 12 years of rent hikes and you give only 2 rent freezes? Where's the ethics in this? Where's the morality? Where is it? Do you people have any morality? That's all I want to say. Good night. I hope you can sleep with yourself.
The next speaker is Ramon Catella, and Mr. Catella needs a Spanish interpreter, please. Ramon Catella? Ramon?
He's coming.
Okay.
Ya viene.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah, I am of many tenants here have been harassed by the landlords. Probably I don't have too much time, because if I had to write, need a notebook about my landlord. He's the worst in New York City. He lives behind SPD. He made things happen from Weber Case Management. See, I want to speak Spanish because I feel more comfortable when I speak Spanish. Toda esta gente que están detrás de mí, a lo mejor no han ido a sus casas de esta mañana que salieron a trabajar. Hay que darle un aplauso a ellos porque vienen a defender sus derechos aquí.
Okay, let's get the translation, please.
Okay. All these people who are here in this room, they've probably not been home since they left this morning. They came straight here, so they deserve a round of applause.
Ese es el sacrificio que hacemos los New Yorkers, los que vivimos aquí, para mantener nuestra familia en nuestros hogares. Yo quiero que ustedes, los 9 miembros que hay aquí, tengan entendimiento de los problemas que tenemos nosotros. Estamos aquí por los landlords, por no otra razón.
These are the sacrifices that New Yorkers make, that we make for our homes and our families, and I want you on the board to have an understanding of what we go through and the reasons why we are here.
One more thing. Todos estos problemitas que tenemos últimamente, todos los tenants en New York City, los trajo Mayor Bloomberg, que también se ha hecho multimillonario y no cobraban salario. Y los amigos de él, que son los landlords, también se han quedado con todos los bienes de nosotros y ahora nos quieren sacar aquí de New York City. Y no va a pasar.
All these problems that we're facing now really picked up with Mayor Bloomberg, and who became a multimillionaire and said he wasn't going to draw the salary for being mayor. But between him and all the landlords that were left behind after him, who are trying to get us out of our homes, but it's not going to happen.
Thank you for the time, okay? Sí se puede.
The next speakers are Sergio Cuevas, Hector Rondon, and Judith Morrishow.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Sergio Cuevas. I'm with the Northwest Bronx Community and Clergy Coalition. Okay. I've been a member for 7 years. They actually helped save my building back in 2011 when the foreclosure problem was happening. We had a landlord with great fanfare came into our building with great fanfare. Bottom line is that he's an MCI king of the Bronx, Finkelstein Timberger. Okay? It is heinous the fact that they're including MCIs, which are permanent. How could you do something? It's permanent, a permanent part of the rent. There's no end to it. So they're getting gravy, okay? All I'm saying, come on, give us a break. Okay, I lived in the Bronx for 35 years, the same stinking apartment. It was falling apart. Okay, he came in with some pressure from New York City. Okay, HPD. We saved the buildings. Okay, there were 10 buildings. But the whole thing, the bottom line is that MCIs, he likes to give MCIs, and they become a permanent fixture on the rent, which is not right. A lot of people like the people that came previously before me. Come on, we don't all work jobs that make a lot of money, okay? We don't make $80,000, okay? $50,000 and I'm lucky, okay? $60,000 I'm happy, but a lot of people don't make that. They make less than that, and that's when you have multiple people living in these dwellings, multiple families, and that's not right. Think about it, okay? We're living under dire circumstances, okay? The economy is not the greatest. We have a lousy president, which is a reflection on the landlords in New York City. They feel more empowered now that we have a bimbo or bamboo in the house, in the White House. Help, that's all I say, help. Think about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Hector Rondon. Hector Rondon.
My name is Hector Rondon. I'm a captain in the Tenants Association at 315 East 167th Street. I am a proud member of CASA, which has informed us and a lot of information that we didn't know. The majority of the tenants in that building, and I'm included, are retired. We can't get no increase. The cost of living is going up. I have to pay now dental. I never used to pay co-payments. Car fare is going up. How could we keep this up? We got a nice building, thanks to the new owners, but we can't afford this increase. We had 2 MCIs. Now you want to increase the rent from 0 to 2%, 2% to 4%. What's going to happen next year? I would like to know that. And I thank you for your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rondon. Judith Morris Show.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
My name is Judith Morris Shaw.
Could you speak a little closer to the microphone, please?
I am a CASA member. I have lived at 1310 Sheridan Avenue for over 20 years. My present landlord is Chestnut Holdings. They are very difficult to deal with. If you call the office, answering machine picks up, they never return your call. My Con Ed bill is very high in the winter because I need to use a small heater to keep me warm. It is very simple why we are asking for rent rollback. Keep our buildings clean. Fix the broken elevator. I waited up to 3 days to get a refrigerator after my refrigerator went up. 3 days after my refrigerator went up. It's like the first one they brought, it was filthy and dirty. The second one, it took me about 2 hours to clean it out. I haven't been compensated for my spoiled food. Come on, don't do this to me. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please take in consideration the tenants like myself? Some of us are on a fixed income. If we have to pay more rent, we won't be able to buy food. We are getting too old to be standing in line to get pantry to help out. Please, rent roll back, please.
Thank you. The next speaker is Diane Hawkins.
Hi, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Diane Hawkins. I've lived in my building over 30 years at 1065 Jerome Avenue. Our new management is Simple Better Apartment. I've been actually fighting with my landlord for a long time. At the present, I'm being evicted for $123, and this is long standing. You know, I've been blacklisted, and all because I organized my building to get repairs done for horrible condition that seniors and other tenants was living under. I'd like very much if you could give a rent rollback, because over the past years is all these excessive increases, and no repairs. Some of the condition was deplorable, hazardous, and also the landlord, previous landlord that we had, there was a lot of harassment with him. So at this point, I'm getting really tired and fed up after going to court after court, years after years, for the same reason. One moment it was $258, another moment it was $158, and recently is $123. I will be going to court the 14th of this month, you know, for eviction. So I'd like you to please consider other people that is going through this condition, and also a lot of people that are homeless because of this condition of the the condition and the harassment that they're going through with the landlord. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Council Member Vanessa Gibson.
Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for coming this evening. Welcome back to the Bronx. Thank you for joining us here at the Bronx Museum of the Arts. Can everyone hear me? Yeah. Okay, great. Good evening, everyone. I am Councilmember Vanessa Gibson. I'm proud to represent District 16 in the Bronx. I welcome you here, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak before each and every one of you members of the Rent Guidelines Board. I stand here before you as a representative of families that live in Claremont, Claremont Village, Concourse, Concourse Village, Highbridge, Mount Eden, Morris Heights, and Morrisania, and proudly call this community their home. It was only a few years ago that many people of the Bronx did not have the opportunity to speak before the Rent Guidelines Board without having to travel to another borough. So first and foremost, your presence here once again this year speaks volumes about the commitment to the people of the Bronx and the fact that there are voices in the Bronx that matter, and your dedication to encouraging participation and input from all New Yorkers is greatly appreciated. So good evening, Chair Roberts and all the members. I am sure you can imagine that as you evaluate rent guidelines for the upcoming fiscal year, hundreds of thousands of tenants are looking to you for your support, hoping that you once again will take the steps to address the ever-rising costs of rent across the city of New York. Many constituents here in the Bronx view the important work of the RGB as important to our broader housing agenda and our ongoing work to ensure that every New Yorker has access to quality, affordable housing. Access to quality and affordable housing is a fundamental right. It is not a luxury. It is a fundamental right. The groundbreaking decision to approve a rent freeze for one-year leases and a 2% increase for two-year leases in both 2015 and 2016 helped to alleviate the burden of sky-high rents for thousands of New Yorkers, many who are here tonight, right? So this year, we are once again asking you to take it to the next level and consider the economic pressure that so many New Yorkers face every single day, and take your advocacy for rent-stabilized and rent-controlled tenants a step further by issuing a rent rollback. Rent rollback. Thank you, guys. You all know that rent control and rent stabilization are of particular importance to all the residents of the Bronx. A report that was issued just last month by ANHD stated that the top 5 neighborhoods of New York City in the most danger of becoming unaffordable to local residents are all in the West Bronx, with our district, Highbridge, South Concourse, Morrisania, and Crotona ranking number 2 and number 5. So essentially, my whole district is essentially becoming unaffordable. According to this report, a staggering 67% of residents in the West Bronx are considered rent burdened, and unsurprisingly, more were heavily involved in housing and eviction court cases than anywhere else in the city of New York, right here in the Bronx. So as the council member, as a resident myself, I urge you to seriously consider the implications of the increasingly unaffordability in the West Bronx, especially given the incredible amount of evictions that we have had in our community. I also represent all of the courts as well, and the numbers demonstrate that more families are being evicted, and we have to do everything possible. Tonight, I am here to advocate for my residents. They elected me 4 years ago for a reason, to be their voice. And to this day, I have not remained quiet. I continue to be a loud voice because when they are in need, they come to my office for assistance. And the reality is, many are low-income, fixed-income, and rent-burdened residents. And I urge you to consider a measure that would stop the spiraling costs of rising rents. It would not only serve the immediate needs of our Bronx families that I represent, but it would also reduce the market pressures that threaten to undermine our plans to build and preserve affordable housing across the city of New York. I cannot emphasize strongly enough to each and every one of you how important my tenants and my families are to the fabric of this community. There was a time years ago when no one wanted to invest in the Bronx, when we faced devastation, We faced burnout and a lot of disinvestment. And through it all, through the grace of God and a lot of resistance and a lot of turbulence, many of these families remained strong, they remained faithful, and they were active, and here they remain today. They have a fundamental right to remain in this community. I accept nothing less. And so I urge you, as you are making these very important decisions, to really think about the life of everyday New Yorkers. We at the New York City Council are investing millions of dollars in civil legal services. I am one of the prime sponsors of Intro 214, Right to Counsel, because we want every single tenant to have access to a lawyer. It is important. It is important. I don't stand here just giving lip service, but I have action behind everything that I say. And I have been with these tenants in the trenches, high heels, flat shoes, and sneakers. We have been in the trenches for so long. I just want to make sure that this district is better than the way I got it. And I want every resident to have a right to live in the community of their choice and not feel that we are pushing and pricing them out. And so I speak from the heart. It's easy to talk about this because I live this every single day. When the media and when all the headlines are gone, we're still doing work. Because as long as tenants are facing harassment and eviction, then our work is not done. And so you have a very important responsibility ahead of you, and you have a very unique opportunity to continue with the commitment that RGB has done for the last 2 years in recognizing the importance and the commitment of a lot of tenants. You know, we fight every single day and we're always outnumbered, but at the end of the day, when you look from community to community, you see seniors, you see parents, you see children. That's what makes up our community, and I don't want to lose that. So I look forward to working with you as a partner and as an advocate, and on behalf of all of the district residents that I represent, I hope and pray that you come to the right decision and make sure that residents are always kept at the forefront of all of our discussions and our decisions. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with all of you tonight.
Thank you.